Today's video is brought to us by TacPack. TacPack is a monthly subscription box for Second Amendment and survival enthusiasts. Each month they send boxes of gear that include gun parts, tools, and accessories, as well as other cool stuff like knives and more. You must sign up before the end of March to get the April pack. TacPack has 2 levels, Standard and Plus. The Standard box has 6 total items with a box value of over $100, and the Plus box has all the items from Standard plus one more item that will instantly upgrade your kit to the next level, and the Plus box is worth over $250. And if you use code GNG at checkout, you'll receive an American-made AR part shipped separately from your TacPack. Link is in the description, and thank you to TacPack for sponsoring this video. So this morning, Joe Biden and his administration dropped a recommittal paper to stop gun violence. It's an attempt to get the anti-gun groups that gave him a whole lot of money to get them back in line, because they have separated from Biden. They believe that he just lied and took their money and said he could do all this stuff that he obviously can't do lawfully. But I'm going to go over this real quick, and I'll have a link down below where you can check this out. Everything is in the description. On screen is what came out this morning from the White House. It says, taking on gun crime and violence with a whole-of-government approach. In his State of the Union address earlier this month, President Biden highlighted his comprehensive strategy to reduce gun violence. He emphasized that $350 billion in American Rescue Plan funds that were made available for cities, counties, and states that enable them to hire more police and invest in proven strategies like community violence intervention. He talked about our efforts to crack down on difficult-to-trace ghost guns, part of an aggressive array of executive actions to reduce gun violence, taking more steps than any other administration in its first year, and he repeated his call for Congress to take further action to tackle the gun violence epidemic that continues to take more than 100 lives a day. We made strong progress by rolling out and executing on the President's comprehensive gun crime reduction strategy. The strategy contains 5 key components: stemming the flow of firearms used to commit violence, supporting local law enforcement with federal tools and resources to put more cops on the beat and address violent crime, invest in evidence-based community violence interventions, expanding summer programming, employment opportunities, and other services and supports for teenagers and young adults to give them pathways away from crime, and helping formerly incarcerated individuals successfully re-enter their communities instead of reoffending. That's interesting. This coincides with the White House's announcement today that Joe Biden has made a budget proposal that would include $32 billion with a B in new law enforcement spending. The proposal features a significant boost in dollars that include $20.6 billion for the Justice Department, discretionary spending on federal law enforcement. That's going to be the ATF increase, and also money for deputizing your local police. And that's compared to $18.6 billion in this year's budget. So they're looking to add $2 billion just for the Justice Department for next year. So it looks like their whole defund the police movement is done now, now that the midterm elections are fast approaching, and they got their intended result of the burn everything down and defund police, which was violent crime would go up, shootings would go up, killings, murders, everything from criminals, not from those people who just want to defend themselves. Now they can go out and say it's the gun's fault. Back to the form real quick for a little bit more. You can read a full summary of the progress we've made here. We're pulling on all levers of the federal government to address the crisis. For example, the President secured a bipartisan investment in fighting gun crime, including a new $50 million initiative to expand community violence interventions, additional funding for community policing, and the resources the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms needs to continue to enforce our existing gun laws. The administration made American Rescue Plan funds available for fighting crime, and cities and states across the country have taken up this opportunity. The Justice Department is taking regulatory action to rein in the proliferation of ghost guns, unserialized homemade firearms that are difficult for law enforcement to trace. That's what it's really about, tracing everything. The Justice Department launched 5 new law enforcement strike forces focused on addressing firearms trafficking, including the Iron Pipeline, the illegal flow of guns sold in the South, transported up the East Coast, and found at crime scenes from Baltimore to New York City. In part due to actions, the United States Department of Health and Human Services, Connecticut, and Illinois enacted legislation that allows Medicaid to reimburse providers for hospital-based gun violence prevention services. Now, the rest of this document, minus the last paragraph, which I'll put up in a second, is just thanking all the cronies who were, deep in the president's butt with all this, trying to push all this stuff. But notice the DOJ is expanding funding for the ATF. There will be more ATF funding and more ATF agents and more ATF tyranny, because that's the only way Biden thinks he can get anything done because of this, the stalemate in Congress. Here's the last paragraph. We'll wrap it up. As the president acknowledged in his State of the Union remarks, there is much more to do, which is why this team wakes up every day eager to advance this essential unconstitutional work. The president will continue to implement his comprehensive gun crime reduction strategy. Just as he did in the State of the Union address, he will continue to call on Congress to take steps that cannot be achieved through executive action and do not violate the Second Amendment. Bullshit. Like universal background checks, a ban on assault weapons with high-capacity magazines, and a repeal of the liability shield for gun manufacturers and dealers. He will continue to increase investments in community policing and community violence interventions, and we will help him get the job done in order to save lives. Banning a specific type of arm that is in common use is a violation of the Second Amendment and a direct violation of the precedent set in Hillary versus D.C. And it's just frustrating. Every single day. Another thing is interesting is this whole document is 3 pages. He discusses 3 pages worth of ways to violate our right to keep and bear arms for feelings. And the document that set this whole country up, the Constitution, is only 4 pages. So 3 pages worth of violating it. Interesting. Just found it interesting. All right, guys and gals, let me know what you think down below. DOJ is about to swell with the newfound funds. And you know what that means is the ATF is coming more than they have in the last couple of years, because now they're going to be even better funded. Please share this. Please spread this along. Thank you to TacPack for sponsoring today's video. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe, because that's what the Second Amendment is for, no matter what the anti-gun, old, degenerate, geriatric patients think. Take care.